My name is Tylluan. I'm a solitary pagan witch. I'm an author and the founder of the Wolf and Howl Press. If we suddenly go dark in a minute, it's because Homer has got himself caught in the lights. I don't quite know what to do. Never mind. Anyway, today's little chat is about magic, types of magic. What do we do? How does it work? The thing to remember about magic is that when you're working on your own, the simpler you make it, the more likely you are to find it works. If you make it too complicated, it becomes very difficult. You're trying to juggle all the balls, keep them all in the air at once. Doesn't work. So take this from me. You've got to keep it simple, and that means stripping it down to the bare bones. I always say that I think magic comes one of two things. You're either saying, please help me find a relationship. Not a good one, but people do it. Please help me get this job. Please make my landlord fix the toilet. Whatever, doesn't matter. Those are the please spells where you're asking for something. And the other one, of course, is the thank you, which isn't quite so much a spell, but sometimes we like to close off what we've been doing and just give a little offering, a little ritual of some sort to say thank you to the powers that be, the forces around us, the gods we work with. Now, most spells are the please type. People are more likely to say please because they want something. So let's look at those a little more closely. Basically, we are usually trying to make something come towards us or go away from us. Occasionally, we want to just leave it where it is. But usually, it's come towards us, go away from us. So that's one division. And the other one is to make something grow or to make it shrink. Now, making something grow is very popular for spells about wealth. And years ago, people did them quite openly, that kind of magic. Nowadays, there's a little bit of this, you mustn't do self-interest, self-promotion, you mustn't do that. Now listen, we live in a world that is all about self-promotion. You know, you look at, say, this video, right? You look down the bottom and you will see how many likes it has. And that sudden noise actually is Noah. He's promoting himself over in the corner. You look at the number of likes. Now I can tell you, whatever likes are down there is the number of people who have liked it. The number of views, the number of people who have viewed it. But you will go on some who have staggering numbers of views and likes. And they have in fact bought them. So when we talk about mustn't do this, mustn't do that, don't forget there are an awful lot of people who seem to slip under the radar. And they're doing just that. They are promoting themselves rather subtly by trying to make it seem as though a lot more people are paying attention to them than is actually true. Now this rather peculiar noise you're hearing is Noah. Noah, stop it. Come on over. Be a good boy. Yes. Oh, here we go. He does like to come in. Do you know, the other day, I was sitting talking to Mr. Penry, and I was actually sitting, I don't know how I managed it, but I managed to get myself in the same position. So I wasn't sitting at the table, I was sitting this way. And I was holding forth on something or other. I was on my soapbox. And all of a sudden, Noah got really excited. Noah comes towards me and starts doing this. Of course, he thought we were filming, or he thought we should be filming. But anyway. Okay, so then we're going towards about how we make things grow. So we are living in a world where people will shamelessly almost promote themselves in ways that are not entirely true. So I tend to think if you want to do a spell to increase money or something like that, fine. But be honest about it, why you're doing it. And if you doubt why I'm saying this, if you look online, you will find there is a short story, quite an old one, called The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs, I think it was. And if you haven't, thank you, Noah, if you haven't already read it, I would strongly suggest go and read it, because it's very much an illustration of be careful what you ask for, because you might get it. Anyway, talking about making things grow, making things shrink. Now you might say, how on earth can I do a spell to make something shrink? Why would I want to? Well, one of them is things like healing spells. Now, healing spells are no substitute for going to the doctors. You must go and see what's wrong with you. I would never say to you, go and do magic instead of treatment. But it is true that we can help ourselves a bit. We can push things along a bit. We can do our bit. If we feel we can perform a healing spell, go do it. Don't be afraid of it, but don't let it be a substitute for going to the doctors, because that's important. You have to look after yourselves. But if we're talking about healing, well, sometimes we want to shrink things. We want to shrink a temperature. We want to shrink a swelling, perhaps. Perhaps we've bruised ourselves, something like that, and there's this huge lump has come up. Well, the Anglo-Saxons, and those of you who know me know that I'm very fond of the Anglo-Saxons and their magic, they had this wonderful sort of a counting out system. Now, when you talk about counting out, you probably know the old song, you know, there were 9 green bottles hanging on the wall, and gradually it comes down 9, 8, 7, 6. And you know, there were 9 in the bed, and the little one said, roll over, roll over. So they all rolled over and one fell out. And again, it counts down. Well, this is actually what they used in these counting out spells. 9 was so-and-so's sisters. And there were 8. And there were 7. And it goes down. And what they're actually doing is they're placing they're addressing the swelling, and they're making it reduce as the numbers go down. And you have to remember that in societies where you didn't have the written word, a knowledge of numbers, a capability with numbers, a capability with letters is actually a very good thing to have. And there is a wonderful little spell which I would like to read you. Actually, I won't read it to you in Anglo-Saxon, we'll have it in English today, thank you. But here we go. It's a charm against a wart or a cyst or a swelling, a lump of some sort. Now, bear in mind, we go to the doctors, any lumps you don't know, but warts and wart charming, this is a good one. So here we go. When, chicken. Here you shall not build nor have any dwelling, but you shall go north hence to the nearby fortress, where you wretched have a brother. So what you see from that little bit, we're addressing the wart directly. We're saying to it, now, when, chicken. Little chicken, little chickie. You know, it's sort of being a bit familiar, a bit friendly. You know, some people do call each other chick, don't they, as a form of endearment. Anyway, let's go on. He shall lay a leaf on your head, under the wolf's foot, under the eagle's feather, under the eagle's claw, may you ever fade away. And what does that tell us? That tells us that on top of the wart they put a leaf. And then, presumably, the leech, as they call their magical healers, he laid a leaf on the head of the lump, the wart, under the wolf's foot, so he put a wolf's foot on it, under the eagle's feather, put an eagle's feather on, under the eagle's claw, put that on top, may you ever fade away. And there you have this wonderful bit. May you shrink as coal on a hearth, may you shrivel as dung on a wall, and may you fade away as water in a pail. May you become as little as a linseed grain, much less than a handworm's hip bone, and may you become so little that you become nothing. And I think that's great, to be honest. It's just so, people read them sometimes and they don't stop to think about how the spell is performed. And all magic is performance to some extent. I don't mean you're showing off or you're getting yourselves dressed up or making a twit of yourself, but there is an element of performing. You are performing the spell. You are casting the spell. And that, I think, is such a wonderful, vivid way of showing you how it's done. And then you go off and you adapt it your own way and see what works for you. I hope you've enjoyed that, a little trip back to the Dark Ages. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.